March 12, 2006. A busy Sunday afternoon at a pub in Salford was about to erupt into violence. Two masked gunmen burst into the Brass Handles pub while patrons were watching a live Manchester United match. Their plan went horribly wrong. Instead of escaping with their target, both attackers ended up dead. It was a shocking reversal of fate that left the city reeling. If you enjoy in-depth true crime stories, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. The Brass Handles was a small estate pub in Langworthy, Salford, an area of high-rise flats and older housing. On that Sunday afternoon, the pub was packed. Fans had gathered around the TV to watch Manchester United play. It was about 2:20 p.m. when the peace shattered. The day was overcast and tense unknowingly, but inside, drinkers were still cheering their team. Investigators later unraveled who was behind the attack. Two of the men involved were the gunmen themselves, Carlton Alvarenga, 20, and Richard Austin, 19. Both were members of the Moss Side Doddington gang, hired to carry out the shooting. Their target that day was David Totten, a local nightclub doorman. Totten happened to be sitting with his friend Aaron Travers, who both ended up wounded in the attack. The plot was masterminded by local gang figures Ian MacLeod and Constance Howarth. MacLeod, 42, was a well-known South Manchester gang leader. Howarth, 38, nicknamed the Black Widow, was a gang associate working as a spotter. They guided the hit from nearby. Paying for the job was Bobby Spears, about 40, a security firm boss. Spears had sought revenge against Totten, and he enlisted MacLeod to arrange the killing. What prompted the attack? Police found the motive was personal. A few weeks earlier, Spears had been refused entry to a Manchester nightclub by doorman David Totten, and he felt humiliated. He was said to have lost face in the dispute. Consumed by anger, Spears decided to sort it out the hard way. He paid MacLeod and Howarth to set up an assassination. The planning was meticulous. On the afternoon of the attack, Spears sat in an executive box at Old Trafford Stadium, watching a match and using his mobile phone to direct the hit. He believed being at the stadium would give him an alibi. Meanwhile, Howarth sat in the Brass Handles, ostensibly texting friends, but actually she was acting as a spotter, using her phone to guide the two shooters toward their target. Back at the pub, chaos unfolded. Alvarenga and Austin burst in wearing masks, guns drawn, as drinkers watched the live game. Without warning, they opened fire on Totten's table. Totten and Travers were hit and fell wounded. Austin's handgun roared 6 shots in the crowded bar, but then a crucial moment, Alvarenga's weapon jammed. With one gun useless, the tide turned. Several pub patrons tackled and overpowered the armed men. In the melee, they disarmed the attackers. In the ensuing chaos, the gunmen were shot and killed with their own weapons. One eyewitness later described it as almost like a Wild West shootout, but without the theatrics, just desperate people defending themselves. By the end of the exchange, both hitmen lay dead just outside the pub. It was a dramatic, tragic turn. The killers became the victims. The aftermath was grim. Emergency responders found 2 dead men on the ground and rushed Totten and Travers to hospital. Both survivors were seriously injured but, miraculously, would recover. Police soon swarmed the scene. They noted something disturbing. The pub's CCTV footage of the attack had been wiped or destroyed. Investigators believed this was no accident. It was likely removed on purpose to hinder the inquiry. Greater Manchester Police treated the killings as gang-related and quickly shuttered the Brass Handles, which never reopened. 4 men, all in their early 20s, were arrested almost immediately on suspicion of involvement. But in those first tense days, not all witnesses cooperated. Totten and Travers, still recovering, refused to say much to police. The story remained murky until detectives could piece it together. Detectives dug into mobile phone records and testimonies. They soon identified the conspirators. In early 2007, police charged Ian MacLeod and Constance Howarth with conspiracy to murder. Their trial made headlines. MacLeod and Howarth were accused of orchestrating the Brass Handles hit. The press even called Howarth the Black Widow for her role as spotter. A third suspect, Warren Mason, was charged but later cleared. Meanwhile, Bobby Spears was still on the run. He had fled Britain after the shooting. In July 2008, Spanish authorities arrested him in Benidorm under an international warrant. Spears was held in Spain and extradited back to Manchester in 2009. Finally, all the pieces were in place for the courts to hand down justice. The trials concluded with heavy sentences. MacLeod and Howarth were convicted in May 2007. The judge condemned their actions. 2 young men had died in the misguided attack. MacLeod received a life sentence with a minimum of 21 years, and Howarth also got life with a 20-year minimum. Both faced decades in prison for their roles. Bobby Spears was tried in 2009. Evidence showed he had planned the execution, directing it from the football stadium. The jury found him guilty of conspiracy to murder. Manchester Crown Court sentenced him to life imprisonment, with at least 23 years behind bars. The judge warned that Spears was a dangerous man prepared to harm strangers over a petty quarrel. By 2009, the main conspirators were all locked up. The Brass Handles case remains a cautionary tale of gang violence and swift justice. In the end, 2 lives were lost, those of Carlton Alvarenga and Richard Austin, neither innocent, but victims all the same. David Totten and Aaron Travers survived but carried scars. The pub itself was boarded up by police and eventually torn down, a stark reminder of that Sunday's horror. This tragic day shows how quickly a revenge plot can spiral out of control, leaving communities shaken. Thanks for watching our deep dive into the Brass Handles double murder. If you found this story informative, please like this video and subscribe for more. We'll keep digging up true crime stories, so stay tuned. Let us know your thoughts or questions in the comments below, and remember to stay safe out there.